should be live. Yep, looks like we have about a 10-second delay in the stream, which should be alright. So, I'm back. My name's Eddie. I'm here to do more streaming from the corner of my bedroom. Today we've got the Flight Computer REVD PCB just here, and on this stream I intend on making the entire thing, doing all the soldering, and then hopefully testing it successfully and debugging any problems. So, see how this goes. I haven't really planned exactly what I'm going to do, I'm just going to sort of jump into it. If anyone has any questions, then I'm happy to answer them. So we've got 3 different screens going right now. We've got the main one here with the soldering on it. We've got me in the corner, which is a bit of an older webcam, it's a bit glitchy, so sorry about that. But the camera just here is quite fast, it's quite a new one that I'm borrowing from a friend. And then we've got the desktop just here with the PCB on it, so I can see what components go where. How many viewers have we got? We've got 13 people watching right now. We've got Harrison, Andrew, Velocity Launch Systems, BPS Space. Hi Joe, how's it going? We've got Cully, Hires, Alpha. Cool. So without further ado, I'm going to heat up the soldering iron and we'll jump right into things. So I've got this new soldering iron, which I've get in frame here. There we go. I've never really used it before, so I got it for my birthday in June, but I've never really had a chance to properly use it. It's got a really fine tip, as opposed to the usual one that I use, which is a fair bit more chunky. So hopefully this soldering iron is a lot better. I've got a few different techniques to solder these tiny little SMD components, 0805. I'll try them all, I'll show you them all. You might learn some things, I might learn some things from you guys, we'll see how it goes, hey? 15 viewers, that's, I think, a lot better than the last stream. We'll wait for the soldering iron to heat up and then we'll jump straight into it. So the way I do things when I solder PCBs like this is I always start with the small SMD components on the back, and then I flip it over and I do all the small SMD components on the front, and then that means that when I do the SMD components I haven't got any big THT components in the way and I can get to them easily, and then I just solder on all the header pins and terminal blocks after that. So we're going to be starting on the back today. I should probably tell you a bit about this new computer. So this one is REVD. So Rev A was manufactured and was pretty shocking. Rev B was never manufactured. It was just so bad I never actually got it made. Rev C was made. That is, I'll be right back. So we've got Rev A just here, which I'll put right here. We've got Rev C just here, which was a bit slow because of the Arduino Nano on it. And now this one that we've got, Rev D, that we're making today, uses a, get this centered, uses a much faster 600 MHz Teensy 4.0, as well as the LSM 9DS1 inertial measurement unit. So this should give us very accurate data, very accurate sensor readings, and very fast processing speeds, which obviously on a rocket like this is exactly what you want. So on the PCB you can see this will go here, and the Teensy will be going here, just like so. Oh, that's a bit bent. Fix that later on, but you get the picture. The Teensy is going to go around there like that. So it follows the same sort of layout as all the other PCBs. They're all similar layouts. Eventually I will be going full SMD, but while I'm still testing things, I'm just sticking like this. Brayden, yes, that is the illegal MPU 6050 from my first flight computer Rev A. I quickly found out that that is not a very good option. It might be cheap, but cheap it does not mean good, which is why I've done the upgrade to the LSM here. We'll see how the soldering iron's going here. So the solder I use is just this stuff. I get it at a store here in Australia called J-Car. It's not cheap, you know, solder's not cheap, but it is what it is, eh? That's good. The new iron heats up quite quick. I don't have any flux or anything. There's flux in the solder, so that makes that sort of stuff quite easy. Now, so the first way that I'm going to be soldering some of these resistors is I put a tiny bit of solder on one of the pads, and then I grab the resistor or capacitor with the tweezers, and then I hold it in place and I just melt that solder. So that's one of the easiest ways of doing it. So just a tiny little bit of solder on those pads. Like that's probably even a little bit too much. Can you see that? Is that a bit blurry on the screen, or is that all good? Is the audio low? If there's any problems with the stream, if audio's low or anything like that, let me know, and I will fix it as soon as I can, alright? So, the first resistor we've got is resistor 3, which if we bring up the schematic, resistor 3, no, it can't be resistor 3. What is it? It's got a V in it, so I can't see it properly. Is that 5? Yes, so it's 5, not 3, there we go. So by going here, I can see that is a 68 ohm resistor. It's very small on your screen. Actually, if I go to here, now you can see what I'm doing. So we've got a 68 ohm resistor first. So I'll get that in place right away. Back to the main screen. I might get some more light here, but I'm not sure how the camera's going to be happy with it. Is that alright on the stream? Alright, there we go. Now I can see a lot better here. So I have my pile of all the SMD parts I need here, and the first thing I'm looking for is that 68 ohm resistor. So I'll just search through all these parts here. .2, 7.5, 56, 68 ohms, there we go. So these are the resistors that I need in this bag just here. So I source all my components from a place in Australia called Element 14, formerly known as Farnell. I think they might be overseas. I'm not sure if they're in America though. So I've got all the tools I need. I'm going to try solder paste today for the first time. I've never used solder paste before, so we'll see how that goes. I only just got that. I don't have a like a hot air blower or anything, so it's hard to do that, but I'll see how it goes. So basically, you want to grab that tiny resistor off of the film, and then this is a weird orientation. Is that still in your frame? Try that. No, it's on an angle, but I think that's all that's going to work. So if I get that tiny little resistor and the soldering iron, and then I can put it on that pad. Oops. And very carefully solder that on there like that. And then for the other pad, just a matter of heating that up, putting on a tiny bit of solder, a bit more maybe. clean. So you see streams from people like Joe Barnard, and they've got the hot air blower and they're doing solder paste and stencils and whatnot like that, but I don't have all of that sort of equipment. I just deal with what I've got. I've got fairly cheap basic equipment, but that's really all you need. So that certainly on there. So the next one we'll do is resistor 4, just next to that, which will be a 56 ohm resistor. So I always put these away straight away, as quick as I can, otherwise things get messed up and lost, and that's just a pain. .56 ohm, that's what it was, yes. Yep, 56 ohm resistor. So I'm thinking that these two resistors that I've just done are for the LED, the onboard LED, which you'll see me solder later. That is an absolute nightmare to solder, it's very tiny. This wants to come off. Plastic film won't come off. There we go, pull that back. And the resistors out. There we go. Onto soldering. Onto soldering the next one. So this is a very time-consuming process. There is fast ways of doing it, but with what I got, this is one of the methods I use. It's quite slow, but it's also quite peaceful to just do this late at night. There we go. Yeah, so this method's never going to be extremely neat, but you know, you can only do it so well. This here is another 56 ohm. What's happening in the chat right now? Not a lot of action in the chat at the moment. Get that tiny resistor out. So once again, these are 0805 resistors, which means that they're 0.08 inches on. Whoops, what am I doing, jeepers? 0.08 inches on one end, and 0.05 on the other. And I've lost that resistor. I'm going to get some different tweezers. These tweezers are not very good for the job. Just here. These ones will do. Yep. There we go. So these resistors are extremely cheap, like a couple of cents each. So when you lose one, it's no big fuss, you know. Whereas a part like the Teensy, that's not a cheap part. That's if you lose that or break that, that's quite a dent in the project. Alright, so I've shown you enough of that method. That's a very slow method. That's all for the 56 ohms, I believe. Pretty good, looking good, cool. This isn't going to be a very action-packed stream. Okay, this could be quite a slow stream, but I'm gonna try a different method now, which I've never done before. I'm gonna try to use this solder paste. So I'm thinking that if I put some paste on the pads and then I put the resistor in place, I should be able to heat up that solder paste with the soldering iron still. Get this off of here. There we go. So this is all quite a delicate process when you're doing it by hand. All very, very small stuff. If I get a bit out the end of this, there we go, get that started. So now, put a doll on there, and a dollop on there. Probably a bit more. Yeah, we'll try that, eh? So once again, I have no experience in doing this. See how it goes. So resistor 6. Oh, you're kidding me? I'll just put that last resistor in the wrong spot. There, we'll get rid of that resistor. So this is actually meant to go in R6, just here. There, we'll see how that goes. I have no idea how well it's going to work, or if it's going to work at all. That was quite messy. Is that actually on? Yep, so that is on there. That worked quite well. I'll do a couple more of those until I go on to the last one. Joey V, Eddie, my guy, we're going to get you a hot air station. Yeah, so eventually I will have to invest in one of those, Joe. I also need a benchtop power supply. They're the two main things that I need right now. Hot air station and a benchtop power supply. But I can deal with what I've got right now. What I've got works. I'm currently trying to save up as much money as I can. Obviously this project's been very expensive. A lot more expensive than I thought it would be. To say the least. But yeah, I'll get those upgrades eventually. It's no rush. There we go. So I'll try to speed up the process a bit, otherwise you guys will end up falling asleep. Resistor 7, 2.2k. Alright, so now if I look through all my stuff again, quickly scan through it all for the 2.2k. There we go. 2.2k resistors. I haven't done any small soldering like this in a long time, actually. Sounds like Patreon's coming soon. If you guys want Patreon, I'll do it. The only reason I haven't done it is because obviously it'll take me a long time to set up, and it will take me a long time to keep running and give all the members the benefits that they deserve. But I'm not sure that I'll be able to get enough members to justify that at the moment, because, you know, I don't have a huge following. So somebody like BPS Space, they've obviously got a huge following. When he started Patreon, there was no doubt about it that he was going to get a lot of attention from it. So I'm just not sure that it's worth my time at the moment, but it will certainly be a thing eventually. There we go, that worked pretty well. Yeah. That was quick and easy actually. Alrighty. Resistor 8. 8 is another 2.2, easy peasy. So when I do this, I try to put all of the resistors of the same resistors near each other. Otherwise, when I'm making it, I end up putting them away and then just getting them back out later on. When I was buying this solder paste, I realised that solder paste is not cheap. So it's actually a lot more expensive than I thought it would have been. Another nice, reasonable amount there. And on there. There we go. Okay. Grab that tiny resistor. So obviously when you're doing stuff like this, steady hands helps a lot, which is something I wouldn't say I'm gifted with. But by anchoring your arm or your wrist or something onto something, then it makes that a lot easier on you. Ooh, that's not connected properly. That wasn't very good at all. It looks like the webcam's very overexposed. There's honestly nothing I can do about that. I tried to fix that heaps, but nothing I would do would sort out that issue. I can move that away, move that. Ooh. That helps a bit. I have to address this. I do get a lot of people on things like Twitter and Instagram messaging me saying, Eddie, when's the next video coming out? And I targeted to have the Launchpad video out about a month ago, which is why it's been so long. But in that video, I want to show everything working properly, wirelessly with the controller, and the Launchpad is almost completely done. It's basically finished. The only problem is that I'm having lots of problems with the wireless system, and when the wireless system doesn't work, nothing works. So that's why that video is not out yet, but I'm hoping to fix the wireless system over the next day or two, maybe even this afternoon if I get around to it, because it's 9:50 AM here. But as soon as I get that done, I'll be making the pad video and getting out as quick as I can, because obviously there's been a big delay on that one. This solder paste method actually seems to be working pretty well, I would say. Certainly a method I'd continue to do in the future. Watch this. This is resistor 9. This one here, which is another 2.2K. Cool. So we get another one of those out of here. There. There we go, get that on there. Bake that on there. Ooh, I'm not sure if that's on properly though. That's on now. I almost need a microscope or a magnifying glass for this sort of thing. Very, very, very tiny little resistors. Okay, so I've showed you two methods. I'll go back to some of these methods later on. But now I'll show you my third method, which is, I believe, what I started out doing when I first started doing SMD. Okay, first I'll grab us the 1K resistors. Got a couple of 1Ks coming up. So if I look through these quickly, 56, 68, there's a capacitor, 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 7.5, 56, 1K, there we go. Maybe I should have ordered these, like put them in order before the stream to save time, but you know, I didn't think ahead that much clearly. So if I get out a 1K resistor, there we go. So for anyone who hasn't done this sort of work before, to show you how small these resistors are, there's one on my thumb. On my, not my thumb, my index finger. Very, very tiny. So trying to solder these requires a lot of concentration and very steady hands as well. Now, what did I used to do? So the method I used to do is I used to put blue tack on one side to just temporarily hold it in place while I soldered it. So I haven't done this in a very long time, but I think what I used to do is put the resistor there like so, put a tiny bit of blue tack onto there, and sort of get it into place. Yeah, something like that. And then now you've got two hands to solder it with. So now I can just get my normal solder, just solder that on there like that. That was way too much solder, but it's all good. I think this soldering iron's working a lot better than my original irons. Quite a big upgrade. And now that that side's on, I can solder the other side easily. So, I know that resistor 10 was another 1 ohm, 1K, sorry, yep. And 12 is also 1K, so all the remaining resistors in this spot are 1K resistors. In the chat, not a lot happening in the chat, we've got 11 people watching at the moment. Not bad, not bad. So this is, I haven't told much about this. This is the actual PCB design. So I've done it through Eagle. It's got this little inscription just here, just to sort of symbolise a bit of the problems with the project. Obviously, I'm an amateur. I don't know what I'm doing. I have no experience in this sort of stuff until I did this project, which means a lot of failure. A lot of failure throughout this project. And you know, you can't let those things get to you. You've got to keep on going, keep on pushing through, you know. There we go. I have no idea how much of this stuff I'm meant to use. I didn't actually do any research before this stream. I kind of just jumped into it. If anybody here would be interested in a Patreon, like $5 tier or something like that, just a cheap tier, I wouldn't expect people to pay much more than that for my content. Just let me know in the live chat there, because it certainly is something that I have considered, but I was never sure if it was worthwhile. Whoops. But if I could get, I don't know, maybe $10, $5 here, that's probably worth my time. Turns out solder paste is quite a messy option though, and it melts at a very low temperature. It's very easy to melt. This is quite a messy job. Obviously I'm trying new things here, don't need that. But what I do, you see around some of these resistors, you get that brown color. So what I usually like to do with that is I get a bit of like eucalyptus oil or something like that, and I use that to and a cotton tip to clean that off when I'm done, and that makes the PCB look all nice and shiny. Nobody wants a PCB that looks horrible. There we go, that one worked quite well. So all those resistors certainly have contact. What am I going to do next? I think I'll do the SD card next, actually. The SD card mount. So every time I make a new flight computer, I have to change the SD card schematic. I haven't been able to get the SD card to work yet because that is full SMD, and I don't know what, I've been having a lot of troubles with getting it to work as opposed to the module. So I'll see how this SD card goes this time. That's it there. So in this bag we have the SD cards and the on-off switch. So some of those small sort of components. Yeah, PMRs. That's a good point. So basically my thinking is that it is a bit too soon to page on it. If I had like 5 to 10,000 subscribers, then certainly it would be worth it. But I don't have a very large amount right now, and I'm just not sure that it is worth my time. So is that even gonna fit? So only one of those appears to fit, and it doesn't fit in place nicely. Okay, so this one here I need to cut off. So these SD card holders have little clips on them which sit inside the PCB in a hole that gets drilled, and basically they're not lining up right now, which is what's causing the main problem here. Maybe if I file it back, this will do. So this is interesting. So it's currently Saturday morning here, 10 AM on a Saturday morning, so I've just started my weekend, right? But I have a very busy weekend ahead of me. So this weekend, during the week, I've got basically every single part that I need to get to the first launch. And meaning this weekend, I'll be able to finish this flight computer, hopefully be able to finish the launch pads, be able to do the launch pad code, the controller codes. Hopefully I'll be able to make the test stand for doing static fires and the electronics for that. I've got another project that I'm working on for a friend of mine. But yeah, so I've got a list of everything I need to do to get to the first launch, and I'll be able to actually finish a lot of that list this weekend if I work hard enough and long enough. But yeah, so it's pretty awesome. I've just got the permit that I need to purchase the motors, so I'll be able to get them now. I had a meeting with my school principal on Friday regarding launching on the school oval, which he was really interested in. He loved the project, and he's going to do everything he can to get approval to launch, but obviously there's insurance and liability with that, so I'll see how I go there. But I'm close to getting a launch site. I'll be able to get the motors now. I've got the permits. So basically I'm aiming for a static fire in well, hopefully next weekend, if I can get the motors by then. And then I'm aiming for about 1.5 months until the first launch. So everything's moving through quite fast right now. I'm just trying to get over my biggest problem right now, which is the pad and controller wireless system. So once I've got the pad and controller wireless system, it should be pretty smooth sailing to the first launch. These pads are extremely close together. And I did try to solder these by hand once, and it did not work very well. I have no idea if these are going to short out or what, but so the worst thing here is that I can't necessarily tell if there's any shorts, because a lot of those pads are actually underneath the card reader. So I have no way of checking if there's any shorts on that, which makes me a bit nervous. Now around here, these are all just ground pads, they can be soldered on however. There you go. I can only hope there's no shorts. I can't actually see. What have we got in the chat? Sleeve Dog, what grade are you in? I'm currently studying year 11 in high school, which I don't know how that equates to other grading systems around the world, but year 12 is the final year of high school, and then there's university after that. So I'm in year 11, so senior high school. What have we got? Maybe set a goal for how many subscribers you will have when you make a Patreon account. I think that's very reasonable. I think starting with like low tiers, just like a $5 tier, I think like 2,000 subscribers would be a reasonable amount that would justify having that. Patreon is quite a lot of work to set up, and obviously I need to then be able to split my content so that those Patreon members are getting exclusive content. So it's a lot of work, but I think 2,000 or 2,500 subscribers would justify that. I'm on about 570 at the moment. Matt Graham, what up? Soldering. Gonna check the stream here. Cool. I've been streaming for about 40 minutes. Haven't got much done. I'm expecting this to be about a 4-hour stream. So I'm 17 at the moment. So that means our grading system's about the same, yeah. Okay, what should we do next? Should we do the pyro channels? Yep. So the pyro channels are on the back, so I'll get them done next. I'll do everything on the back before moving to the front, because that's how I like to work. Pyro channels are more tiny components. SOT, I think that's what it is for the MOSFETs. MOSFETs are in here. MOSFET N channel 6.3 amps maximum. 6.3 amps. Oh. YouTube is not happy with me. What's going on here? Please recover, please recover. How's the stream going? YouTube. So for some reason when the microwave in my house is turned on, it destroys our internet and the internet completely drops out. And from what I'm seeing right now, someone just turned on the microwave and it's not happening. Can you guys just comment in the chat what the quality of the stream is right now? Is the stream working at the moment? All good? All good, okay. YouTube's still giving me error messages. Okay, back to work then. Telling me it's got excellent connection now. All good. Okay, so stream's fine. Awesome. Good to know, good to know. Did it cut out for you guys? It cut out from my end. Did it cut out on your end for a bit? Alright. Yeah, so the camera just here that I'm pointing at right now that's showing most of me is quite an old camera, so that will lag a lot and there is nothing that I can do about that. But yeah, just know that any lag from that screen isn't the stream, that's just my camera. So okay, so if I try to get this in there, there we go, that was shocking, but it's on there. Gonna try to get that. There we go. Get that a bit flatter. Like so. Awesome. So then we'll solder these two bits on here. That was solder on there, that was solder on there. There we go, that was a shocking attempt. I'll try SMD one of these with the solder paste. So I've never done solder paste MOSFETs like this before. So a lot of people that have been following me for a while will know that the entire purpose of this entire project is just so that I can learn more things. Alright, so I believe that it's important to gain a huge knowledge in whatever you want to do when you grow up at a young age. And basically with this project, I just want to be able to learn a ton of skills. So this project's taught me everything from metal work, carbon fiber molding, obviously a ton of electronics and programming. Before going into this project, I knew very basic electronics. I'd done some basic projects, I'd done some minor stuff at school, which is where I actually found out what Arduino was, but I'd never done anything very advanced. There we go, that's that one. So the problem with these MOSFETs is that there's quite a lot of current going through something that's extremely tiny, which can cause a lot of problems if you're not careful, and is actually the reason why REV-A, the first flight computer, was scrapped so quick, because the MOSFETs were, not necessarily the MOSFET, but the trace width around the MOSFETs was nowhere near as big as it should be, and it just burnt those traces off the board so quicker than I could blink. So, you know, that quickly taught me that I need to be aware of my trace widths, which was something that, as an amateur, I hadn't ever thought of before. Which seems like common sense now, but at the time, it certainly wasn't. So much soldering to do this weekend. So that's those three on. And in the resistors for those, I think of 470 ohms I have. Yep. So I'll pack up the MOSFETs first, and then I'll find the 470 ohm resistors. And drink some of this. You Americans are missing out on this stuff. Farmers Union iced coffee. It's an absolute icon here. What do I need? 470. There we go, there's the 470s. Is this screen layout, the way I've got laid out the two cameras in the computer, is that layout working? Can you guys see what I'm doing alright? Or would there be another layout that would be better to do? Delta Space Systems, hey Cole, how's it going? Good to see you could make it, eh? Couple of those out. I think I'll do the solder paste method again here. Just for that first one. Where did I put these tiny 470 ohm resistors? Once again, 0805. All my resistors and capacitors are 0805. Oops, that didn't stick. Try that again, hey? Don't think I had enough solder paste on there. Alright. Nowhere near enough solder paste on that by the looks of it. Solder paste and solder paste, there we go. Why is that not sticking? Okay. What I'm going to do is I'll clean that up and I'll just go back to regular. Cole, see a Teensy on the schematic? Yes. We have a Teensy for this one instead of the old Nano and the LSM9DS1 IMU. So this will hopefully be the one that will fly on the rocket. That's what I need. I'm just going to clean all that off. That was not working out very well at all, for some reason. Right. Cool. Solder stuck fine. So now... That's not very flat. This resistor has been a real pain, isn't it? Why is this resistor so hard? There. Goodbye, we'll just bin that resistor. I've never had a resistor that's been so hard to get on before. Is there something going on with the iron? It doesn't seem like it's melting properly, this one. Okay. What the? What is going on? All the others have gone on so easily, but not this one. No, this one is not playing the game. There. Oh. It's about time. Is my iron not? Is my iron cooling down or something? No? Yeah. About time that resistor went on there. Oscar, hi, how's it going? Let's see if this one wants to play the game a bit nicer, hey? It's not neat by any means, but it's on. Just came from watching Delta Space Systems. Yeah, I just saw Delta's new video. That was a very well-made video. I don't know if Cole's still watching this, but it was very good. Are you British? No. I am Australian, which I guess means that, in a way, I'm British. Australians came from Britain originally. Okay, I'm just going to put heaps of solder paste on this time and see what happens, eh? Really fill it up. There. This better work now. There we go. So it looks like I just didn't have enough solder paste on before. But with more solder paste it works. I think that eventually I certainly am going to invest in a hot air gun. Sleeve Dog, hoping to launch my first REVC next year. Awesome, dude. It's always awesome to see more people trying to tackle this. A lot of people think they're all copying Joe, and in a way, we certainly are. But after talking to Joe a lot, he said that he definitely encourages it. He wants people to try it. However, if anyone's going to do REVC, try to be original, right? Try not to just use Joe's designs and recreate them or copy them. Like, try to make everything yourself. Obviously, a lot of my stuff looks like Joe's stuff, but I try to make sure that I make stuff as original as possible, if that makes sense. So like my REVC, that looks a lot like Joe's, I'll admit that, and obviously Joe's was a big inspiration for my design. However, it's completely custom designed. That's not his. I haven't bought that, I haven't paid for the files. Everything I'm doing here is custom designed, and I've tried to come up with new ideas to really push this sort of model rocketry further, which can definitely be seen with my launch pad and controller. That's very original. There's no other launch pads that are like mine at all. Oscar, when are you planning to do your first launch? So I've got a static fire in about a week, hopefully, very hopefully. Depends if I get the motors on time, but I should be able to static fire in about a week, with first launch in about a month and a half, once again, hopefully. I started this project on the 4th of October last year, so the goal is to launch on the 4th of October this year, marking exactly 1 year since the last launch. So I'll see how that goes. 4th of October, luckily for me, falls on a Sunday, meaning I won't be at school, and it's in school holidays, so how convenient for me, hey? Is that everything on the back? I think that's the back finished. Certainly not neat, certainly not my best work, it's absolutely horrible if you ask me, but it's all there. So there's not that much stuff on this PCB, it's just time consuming because it's all SMD stuff. The thing I'm about to do next, the LED, that's certainly what I would say the hardest thing on this entire thing. I'm going to try to use solder paste this time. It might make the process a lot easier. Usually I use just normal solder like this, and it's almost impossible to solder these LEDs. You get so many shorts when you're testing it. Let's see how this goes. What rocket motor? So I'm very fortunate enough to have a couple of people here in Australia to be donating motors to me, which means that I don't necessarily get a choice of what the motor is, but they'll be donating. I know that one of the people that are donating F23s, which will be pretty good for this sort of thing. It's got a decent amount of thrust, should work nicely. Bottom. Okay. So this is the tiny LED, which needs to go just here, and it's got 6 pads on an LED that small. And they're so close together, and you get so many shorts It's very, very difficult to do. These are all ground pads, luckily, so I can just short all these ground pads as much as I want. Does not matter. As long as they make proper contact with the LED, that's all that matters. But it's these three pads here, which, if they short, it's not going to be a short circuit or anything. It just means that the LED will not be showing the right colours, and possibly not all of the colours actually. Let's just jump into this. This is the hardest part. I hate this LED. Okay then, let's see if I can do this. Wow, that was a lot easier with solder paste. That was very good with solder paste. How is that LED turning on? Wait. Can someone please explain why the LED just faintly turned on? There's no power hooked up to it, just the soldering iron. Now on the ground sides, just going to add heaps of standard solder. Does not matter at all if any of these short out, because they're all grounds, so I can just bridge them all like this. Now I'm going to test this with, what should I test it with? A couple of AA's will work. Dig into my drawer, see what I can find. These will do. So this will show us if we have any shorts or not, alright? So I put that on ground. Blue, green, red. Beautiful. That was great. That was... wow. It's never been so easy to solder that LED before. What's happening in the chat? It would be cool to have an air launching system. Joe is doing that now. I know a lot about that project because of the Discords, and I don't think I'm allowed to say much about what Joe's doing there, but he is doing an air launch system of sorts. He's got a couple of projects which I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to talk about, and I don't want to spoil anything. It's all a bit of a secret at the moment. But for in terms of air launch, I think he has released to the public that he is making a Launcher 1 model. So, an RC plane which would drop a rocket like Virgin Orbit does. But that's all I can say about what he's doing. Buzzer. Do the buzzer next, now that the LED works beautifully. The buzzer's in here somewhere. There it is, that's the buzzer. Buzzer's also been hard to solder in the past, so I'll see how this goes. Yeah, so, speaking of Twitter, anyone who does, well, most of the people who are doing this sort of rocket stuff have Twitter. You know, me, Joe, Delta, T0, we all have, I think T0, yeah, T0 does, yeah. We all have Twitter, and especially me, I do most of my updates on Twitter, so Instagram is sort of reserved for like only the major updates. And obviously YouTube is very, very rare updates on YouTube. So if you want to know a lot about the project, then Twitter is the way to go there. That's where all the updates are. like multiple times a day, I am updating my YouTube. Oh, not sorry, Twitter. Jeez. Get the right words, Ed. That's not gonna work. That needs to be this. There. So, if anybody has any questions about the project, or what I'm doing, what I have been doing, wants to see anything, obviously everything I have is right here. Let me know in the chats. I'll show you straight away. Obviously this stream is about who funds this. Okay, so this project is a lot more expensive than I thought it would be. I did have to get a job to support it, and then, you know, a little something called COVID came along, and I've lost my job for quite a long time. It's the place is closed at the moment. So when that happened, I started an eBay store. So I sell electronics on eBay, and that's what's been heavily funding this project. It's sort of helping me just barely scrape by at the moment. So that's what's funding at the moment. eBay store. The eBay store is only available in Australia. I only ship to Australians, so yeah, if you want to support me that way, it doesn't really work. Can you show the TVC? Sure, I'll be back in 2 seconds. And I'm back. Where should I put this? I'll just hold it up here. So this is the current TVC mounts in its little test stands. I think this is the third TVC mount iteration. So as you can see, it's got a reasonable amount of actuation on both axes. The static fire essentially will be testing this, so the rocket will be horizontal on a test stand, and this will just be moving routinely, no stabilization, and that's just a test if this mount is strong enough to handle the force of that motor. I forgot here. How much do those PCBs cost? They are extremely cheap, actually. I wouldn't have thought so, but it's $2 for 5 of them through JSC PCB, with about $15 shipping, so extremely cheap for the PCBs, which is shocking. I still don't know how they can sell them for so cheap, but it's incredible, and they work beautifully. What's next here? We've got some regulators, and then we'll be on to the THT. Okay, so in terms of the regulators here, we've got 2 of them, one for each servo, I think it is. And they each have a capacitor, 0.33, and this will be 0.1, yes, and this should be the same, yep, so 0.33, 0.1, and then the regulators. That is rubbish. So I quickly find those. These are the regulators, 5 volts, 1.5 amps. I think they're the ones anyway, are they? Yeah. In terms of capacitors, there's the 0.1s, the other 0.1s, and there's the 0.3. There we go. So that's all those. I think these are the right regulators. Is there any more regulators? Yeah. Okay. So I've got 5-volt regulators. I think for servos it's more ideal to have 6-volt regulators. So this is all the rest of my SMD stuff. Obviously I have quite a lot because of the launch pad and controller. There's been accumulating a lot of SMD parts. So I've got all the PCBs, oops, out of frame, there we go. PCBs, 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 PCBs and PCBs. So these are all PCBs. Pad computer PCBs, so a lot of circuit boards or PCBs. In terms of regulators, what are these? They're the ones that I ordered that weren't correct. Those were the ones that are too big. Yep, so these are definitely the right regulators. Okay, I thought that I would have ordered bigger ones. Maybe I didn't. Can't wait to see the test. Yeah, so the test, we'll have a YouTube video made about it straight away. That won't take long to make that video. I get this into there. It's not gonna work. So it won't take long to make the video for the static fire. And then there'll be a bunch of testing. So basically, over the next month and a half, there'll be a bunch of videos coming out. There'll be a lot of videos coming out. I've got a lot of videos planned, but I just haven't been able to make them yet. But obviously in a month and a half there'll be a launch, and there's a ton of videos to get out before that launch. So yeah, lots of videos coming. So the YouTube channel is going to get quite active. Hopefully it gives me a decent subscriber boost before I get to that first launch. Yeah, see how it goes. What graphics card are you using? Okay, so I have a very old computer that I bought second-hand for $250. Once again, everything I have is just really cheap equipment. Like, the way I look at it, if it gets the job done, then it's good. Alright, I don't have anything fancy. The graphics card, I think, is the equivalent of a 570 or something like that. It's not very good. It's not very good at all. But it works, and that's all that I care about. If it works, then I'm happy. So I think I'll do solder paste again here for these capacitors. Oops. This is weird stuff to use, actually, I must say. I've never used this stuff before. Solder paste, you get solder paste, there we go. And I do not use a laptop for any of this stuff. I have a school laptop, but that's only for at school. I hate it. I can't stand working on one small screen. I have 2 monitors here. I think most of you have probably seen my setup by now, but it's got 2 old monitors and a lot of screen real estate, which is what I like to see. Is that on? Once again, same mistake. I didn't use enough solder paste. Solder paste might be expensive, but it goes a very long way. I'm thinking that this syringe of solder paste I've got is going to last me a very long time. And I'm certainly hoping it will as well, of course. At the end of the project, I will be adding up the exact cost of everything. I don't know what it is right now, but I will be adding it up at the at the end, and I'm kind of nervous to know how much it's cost. I mean, whatever it cost, it's been worth it, but it's been a lot of money. Way more than I expected. At the start of the project, my original thought was, okay, 3 months and $300 to $400, and I'll be launching. Well, I can tell you as a fact right now that the launch pad alone was at least $300. Just because I've been going so ridiculously overkill with everything, so I can learn more. Looks really nice, Eddie. Thanks, man. What soldering iron is that? It is a cheap soldering iron from an electronics store called J-Car here in Australia. Does the job. This is actually my first time using it. I've never used it before, but the reason why my parents got it for me for my birthday is because it has a thin tip. It's a lot easier to use for this sort of stuff. That's more 0.1s. How's the software coming? I haven't started on the flight software. I've got the stabilization software though, so the flight software won't take long to make. That's the wrong ones. Did I just put on the wrong capacitors? I think I just put on the wrong capacitors. Is there a way to test capacitance with a multimeter? Can you do that? Oh, it looks like you can. That one maybe? There we go. Okay. After all that, I put the wrong capacitors on. This is what happens when you're not concentrating as much. Now I need to try to take those off without making a mess of things. Put a lot of solder on those too, so... So if you try to force these off, then you rip the pads off the board, and that is not a very good thing. At all. Why am I going to solder? These could be difficult to get off the boards. Well, let's try another thing that I got recently. I recently got solder wick for the first time. Never used this stuff before either. So, let's see how this goes. I've never used this stuff. I don't really know how to use it either. As far as I'm aware, you just press it on, and it soaks up all that excess solder. Which doesn't appear to be what it's doing. Okay, then that didn't work at all. Yeah, now I'm in a real pickle. How am I going to get those off of there? How will I get those off of there without damaging my board? Come on. Has anybody got any bright ideas? Maybe I can try to scrape that solder off once I've melted it. Oh no, that is not good. That is not very good at all. Well, that's not good at all. My tip just fell off my soldering iron and started melting through my mat. It's not good at all. Okay, that's one not very good thing about this soldering iron, I guess. It just keeps falling off. What? I'm gonna clamp the tip on there, maybe? Huh. This isn't really going to plan at all, is it? Now I've got to wait for that to heat up again. Yeah, the soldering iron's low temperature now because the tip fell off. About an hour and a half into the stream, and maybe... See, the THT stuff will go very quick once we get that started, so I'd say 45 minutes and we'll be on the testing. I'm thinking, if we can get these capacitors off, fine. Is this tip gonna heat up? Get some solder on there, tin it. This is going to make a big mess of my PCB, I'm thinking. You know what, I should just leave it. Seriously, I think they'll be fine. We're able to work out the angle velocity to degrees issue. So, with this entire project, I've been trying to do everything myself, right? Except I was stuck on that for about 1.5 months, and I was putting huge delays in the project. So what I've done is I'm temporarily using a library to do that for me, and eventually I can guarantee you I'll be doing it myself. But just to get to the first launch faster, I'm using a library for now. So yeah, I'm not too happy that I'm using a library, but you know, it's going to take me a long time to work out that problem. That's not something that I'm very good at, that sort of mathematics and stuff side of things here. Yeah, so I've got it to work and stuff, but no, I did not sort out the problem. I'm using a library. So I'm kind of cheating, I guess, which is unfortunate. Now the soldering iron smells really bad because it's got this black rubber stuff on it because it was melting through the mat. This mat that I'm using here isn't a heat mat, this is just a craft mat, alright? It's not a heat mat at all. So it's not designed to have a 400-degree soldering iron tip fall on it. As you would expect. Michael Ding, hello, welcome to the stream, buddy. even connect? SMD soldering is such a pain. Truly is such a pain. So now, these are the capacitors that go into the regulator, and these are the ones that go out of the regulator. And because I put the wrong ones going out of the regulator, the capacitors going into the regulator are 0.33 and out are also 0.33. If anyone thinks that won't work, having them both as 0.33, then let me know, but I think it should be fine. So these ones here should be 0.1, but they're 0.33. But I'm thinking it should still work. If anyone has any objections to that, then now's the time to let me know before I blow everything up. Okay. Now I'm going to try to put a generous amount of solder paste on here this time. More things I've never done. Solder paste for the regulators. I've never used solder paste until this stream. So I'm glad it appears to be going all well so far. That was not nearly enough solder paste. This is so messy. Good thing you won't see it because it's underneath the Teensy. I hate this so much. Messy soldering is kind of like a bit of a pet hate of mine. I hate it. I cannot stand it at all. And this is shocking soldering. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's just a picture for the Teensy, Michael. The Teensy will be on header pins over top of it like that. Okay, more solder paste this time then. Solder paste. Generous amount of solder paste, there we go. Suppose it's better to have too much than too little. Come on. That's all on there. Yeah. Certainly not neat. One of the more shocking soldering jobs I've done. But that, I believe, is all the SMD finished. Onto THT. I'm going to speed up things here a bit, otherwise this stream is going to be a very long time. Jared Base, welcome to the stream, mate. If you guys haven't checked out Jared Base photography, the incredible shots that he takes of launches and neo-wires and stuff, you really should. Some of his shots are amazing. Yes, Michael, the paste is just sitting there. There's so how do I get that paste underneath to melt without a heat gun? Heat the regulator and let the solder paste on the bottom melt. If I just try to heat this up a bit, maybe even turn up the soldering iron, 450 degrees Celsius, that sounds nice to me. Hotter is better, hey? Heating up the regulator. That looked like it certainly did something. There we go. Didn't want to do that for too long. Don't want to do any damage to my expensive computer here. Okay, so I'm going to do the... what should I do? So, just to visualize all this, BMP boy is going to go there, LSM is going to go there, and the Teensy, which currently has a slightly bent pin, it's going to go down here. So all like that, except I'll be having header pins, so if something breaks on this, then it will work. Yeah, so Michael Ding, it's a pretty cheap soldering iron. I usually keep it around 350 degrees, but it does apparently go up to 450 degrees, which is very, very hot. Okay, I think I'm going to start with a BMP. To do these, what I usually do is I grab an Australian $2 coin, slide it underneath there, and that way, when it goes on, it won't be on a weird angle. Then I get some masking tape. I like THT soldering. It's just a lot easier, and a lot neater, and a lot more satisfying. So you do that, and then now you can solder those pins nicely. So I've never used this soldering iron for THT. I usually use my slightly thicker tip. So this is a bit different. Look how much faster that was. There we go. Some of those joints don't quite have enough solder on them. There we go. So then, now that is straight enough. There we go, that's the first module on. Now, I think I'll do the terminal blocks next before I do the rest of the modules. So these are 3.5mm pitch, so they're much smaller than your standard 5mm pitch terminal block, which is good. I like to keep my stuff as small, as compact as possible. It's not about weight, it's not that I care about weight, it's just that I think it's neater. Small and compact is neater in my theory. Yeah, this soldering iron is not very good for THT. What I'll do actually is I'm going to turn that one off and I'm going to unplug it, and I'm going to get my other soldering iron that I normally use, this guy which has done everything, and I'm gonna heat that one up, which will take about 5 minutes. About 5 minutes to heat up this soldering iron, and I can't adjust the temperature, it kind of just is what it is. I'll move the soldering iron away. So I don't like to have anything near my soldering irons when they're hot for very obvious reasons. I like to keep things away from them. So that's going to take about 5 minutes to heat up. So if anyone's got anything they want to say or ask, then now's your chance. While we're not doing any soldering for a bit. That's what we're up to there. So we're getting there. I'd say about half an hour, probably a bit less actually, and then we'll be done with that and on to testing. So I plan on testing in this stream as well. There you go, so it's official. August 1st, astronauts are coming home. Just give me a second. Actually, we'll bring it up on the tiny screen here, which doesn't have to be tiny. Here we go. So if I bring up Twitter, give me a second here. Yep, so that'll be tomorrow morning my time. It's August 1st here at the moment in Australia, so I'll be 14 hours ahead of America. Go with plans to bring them back home, so that's awesome. Astronauts are coming home very soon. Bob and Doug, our friends from NASA and Endeavour. Now, is this iron hot enough yet? This iron takes a while to heat up. Yeah, that's nowhere near hot enough yet. Well, maybe. There we go. Not sure if that's hot enough, but we'll see how this goes, hey? Not quite hot enough yet. There we go. Okay, so that's hot enough now. So we'll be able to get all the rest of those terminal blocks in place now. Get that off of there. Well, there's a software for the PCB. So this is Autodesk Eagle. I believe it's free for students. I use it all the time for all my circuit boards. It's an incredibly useful and versatile and pretty easy to learn software. What made you decide to do breakout SMD and not full SMD? Okay. So the reasoning for that is that I'm currently still testing things. Okay, I haven't launched yet, none of this stuff is finalized, and things are going to change. So basically, just in order to get to the first launch faster, in order to make things sort of more versatile, because this isn't a final PCB, this is just a development PCB on the way to the final one. So just to make things easier, I've got breakout boards on there. Eventually, full SMD is of course the big goal. Full SMD is certainly the way to go, and I want to try to make it very small eventually as well. So this is the Summit series of PCBs. So yes, I know the rocket called Summit, and the PCBs are called Summit. So this is Summit REVD. This is the 4th iteration of this. But eventually there'll be like a next generation that won't be called Summit. It'll be called something else, and they will be full SMD or have something special about them. I want to do telemetry eventually, so you know I'll have an Ava sort of looking PCB eventually. But my skills do not allow me to do that at this stage. I need to be realistic with my skills. I need to learn and progress. So that's that. In terms of the Teensy, I'm a bit skeptical of. So I'm on real rations with header pins. I don't have enough header pins to actually do 2 clean rows along here. As you can see here, I don't have enough. So it's going to look a bit dodgy. It's certainly going to look a bit dodgy. But if it works, it works. Once again, this PCB hopefully will be flying, but it's certainly not the final one. It's just another circuit board for testing and development. Eventually, I will ideally have one perfect PCB, like Signal was for Joe. That was sort of like the perfect thing for everything until we started going a lot more advanced and required Ava. But yeah, something like Signal is kind of my goal right now. It's really what I am working towards. 5 pins. Cut that off. Is that going to fit into there? Close, but no. Very dodgy. This is not going to work out nicely at all. Actually, I'll try to get some pliers onto that. There we go. So now I can put that into place on there. Like that. Yep. Then lots of green on this PCB by the looks of it. Very green PCB. And now I have a lot of pins to solder. But first, check that. Only 5 viewers. Viewers have dropped a lot at the moment, but that's okay. I'm not doing this for the viewers. I basically just get a lot of people who say to me, "Oh, Velocity launch system, see you later, dude." Basically get a lot of people who just say to me, like, "Eddie, want to see you stream some stuff, want to see you do some live work." So I'm like, you know what, why not? No reason for me to not stream this. It takes a bit longer, because I got to set up the stream and then I got to talk on the stream while I'm working, but there's not really a rush. So yeah, once you solder like hundreds of these sort of pins in your life, it just gets a lot quicker to do it. Sort of learn a good technique for it, and you just buzz through them super fast. Oops. That last one didn't want to play the game. There we go. So that's all of those. Actually, I'm going to trim some stuff. When I'm trimming wires, I always put on some safety glasses, because obviously they go in all sorts of directions. Reason I'm covering them is because I don't want to scratch my friend's expensive webcam here. There we go. And then, just to tidy those up a tiny bit, get the soldering out, make them all look a bit neater. There we go. Technically I should be using safety glasses anyway when I'm soldering, but I don't usually think it's that necessary. I wonder. These are so steady. So the trick to getting steady hands is to try to mount them on something. Try to put your hand against something to hold it steady. I just drank, well, I've nearly finished drinking this iced coffee on this stream while I'm working, and my hands are still steady enough. Steady enough for doing this sort of work. There we go. So, by putting in header pins, basically just means that when I move on to the next PCB, my expensive Teensy and expensive inertial measurement units will not be lost forever. Will not permanently be stuck. So on this one here, you can see I just pulled the LSM off of it to go onto this one, because that is a pricey, more pricey sort of sensor, and you want to keep those for as long as you can. There we go, that's all tacked into place. Solder, solder, solder. Now with that, you can take that off and that off. There we go. So, can you guys please do me a huge favour and give me a bit of feedback on the stream? Alright? The stream's not perfect, it's not very good, and the only way that's going to get better is if you guys give me some criticism in the comments, in the live chat. So anything that you think can be improved, no matter how picky it is, let me know, because it helps me a lot. Those 5 pins between the headers are not really useful. Oh, the reason I'm using the Spark Fun is just because it's cheaper. Those 5 pins between the headers are not really useful. So the ones on the Teensy they are useful, except for this circuit board, I don't need them, so I'm simply not soldering them. But, oh, one last thing is the servo headers, and then I think we'll be done. Got these two 1x3 manual headers, and I've got to sit them in place, which is going to be awkward to get to now, and then hold them there with some glue tack. Hopefully they stay nice and straight for me. And then solder, and you're done there. And then I'm thinking, oh, I still got to do the switch. The switch will be the last thing to go onto this circuit board. Is this stream at a convenient time for you guys? So it's currently, what is it? It's 11:30 AM here in Australia. The reason why I'm doing it in the morning is I tried to make it a convenient time for the Americans to watch, because obviously a lot of my viewers are Americans. However, that also compromises and the Europeans. A lot of the Europeans can't watch it. So, you know, that's gotta take with the good with the bad, eh? Switch that in there. Oh, okay, so we're gonna have to bend these pins out a tiny bit. Simple enough. Just a little bit, I hope. There we go, see how that goes. Push that down a lot. There. And that should just hold itself in place with friction, if I'm being honest with you. There we go. Solder that, and the last solder joint on the circuit board. Should be everything. Checking. Underneath the Teensy, I'll have a quick look. I'm pretty sure everything is on the circuit board. Which means there's only one thing left to do. Which is put that in there. There we go. And plug a battery into it. So I've got this case, just here, which has all my spares, and it currently has my flat computer battery in it. So I need to get a little screwdriver for these terminals. What are they? Tiny flatheads. That will work. It'll like 10 PM on the eastern coast. Alright. Next time I'll start the stream maybe an hour earlier then. And that should be a good time. Okay. Thanks. Black is this one. There we go. Okay then. This is always the scariest moment of any project. It's plugging in the battery for the first time. You ready? Battery's in. And LED flashed. Okay. Okay. Does the Teensy usually have an LED when it's got power? Kind of check through everything a bit. I'm thinking that everything is good. So basically, the next step here involves plugging in the Teensy and running through a software check which I made, which basically checks through all the sensors and stuff, and yeah, all I can do is hope that it works. So I'm going to exit out of this stuff now. I'm going to scoot into my documents and wait for this to load. It will be in Flight Computer. Now I need to figure out where I put it. Nope. Yep, I think it's in here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to upload this, and then I've designed this software, hopefully it works. I've designed it to basically just look through the serial monitor and check everything. Compiling, compiling, compiling. Good. Serial monitor. Card failed. Okay. Micro SD card failed. I'm going to reset. And back up serial monitor. Oh. Let me just unplug this. So I'm quite inexperienced with the Teensy. I haven't actually used the Teensy before. Apart from the time I did some testing to make sure this PCB would work. I'm uploading serial monitor. No, I do not need a flash chip, so I'm using an SD card which I'm writing directly to, which is not ideal. What have we got? Ah, forgot to plug in these servos. Okay. Stream isn't going well. Stream is having some problems. Okay, I'll be back in about 2 minutes. Alright, maybe even 1. I'll be really quick, alright? Don't go anywhere. Alrighty, I'm back. I'm not too sure why YouTube's throwing error messages at me, but I checked the stream and everything appears to be still working okay. Hope you guys liked that intermission video. That was just something I scrapped together. Grabbed a bunch of clips that I had, and it worked pretty well, I think. Back to testing this anyway. Servos is what I was going to get. I was going to get some servos for it. Have my trusty box of servos just here, which most of them are broken, but some of them work. Why are you making weird noises? Okay, gonna unplug you. What I'm actually going to do is bring back up Eagle. It is VS Code. I still like the Arduino IDE, and that's what I'm going to stick with for now. I know that I can do it in Visual Studio, and I have in the past, but I like using the Arduino IDE. I'm looking forward to them bringing out the Pro IDE eventually. That's what I'm really waiting for. Oh, there's your problem. Ah. Boy, I'm a dummy. They need to go like that. That needs to go like that. I need to unplug that. And then I can turn on this. Nice. The servo's moved. Don't know if they moved correctly, but they moved, which means that something's working there, which is all that I'm trying to test right now. Bit of background music on the stream, do you reckon? Let's add some of that right now then, hey? Give me a second here. So I go to media source, this one here, add some of that, and then turn that down. Is that a good volume? I can't hear the volume on it, so I'm relying on you guys to tell me what is a good volume for the background music. Is that too loud? Not sure if that's too loud or not. I think it is. Turn that down to there. Alright, try that. Let me know how that is, alright? I'm just going to mute that for now. Okay, so what I'm going to do is tested a bunch of stuff. Where are we? You guys can see this code. So some code you can't see for legal reasons, but you guys can see this software fine. It's just testing. So change that briefly. No SD. There we go. Alright, I'll try that. So now all that's going to happen is it's going to skip past the SD problems. Done uploading serial monitor. Buzzer didn't work. Why didn't the buzzer not work? There was no bzz from the buzzer. That's a problem. Well, actually, what I'll do is I'll test the pyro channels. Test the pyro channels. So the way I test those is I just use an LED. If the LED turns on, you know the pyro channel is working. That's basically, don't want the schematic, basically what I do. Go to the board, and I do this so I can see which way the pyro channels need to be in place. That's ground, that way, and now like so. So I'll just put all these LEDs in, and then you should see them all, hopefully, in theory, flash. So there's one of them. Ground is the top, okay. There's that one. And then last but not least, this one. So testing things can be fun. Right now I'm enjoying myself, but when you test things and it's not working, that's when you get furious. Like, in my opinion, for what I'm doing right now, if the SD card doesn't work, which the SD card doesn't work, it's not a huge problem. So for my initial test, if I don't have data from them, it's not a huge problem to me. But it will be eventually. So, there, okay, so I'll run that test software again. Actually, I'll check the buzzer's pin first. Ground and pin 2. Okay. X out of all that. So the buzzer pin should be on pin 2. Which it is. Not sure why it didn't work then, that's a bit of a bummer. So these, I'll point this towards you guys. LEDs should start to flash, hopefully. Attitude SD, these failed, buzzer test. Yes! You see that? All those LEDs just flashed. which means the pyro channels work beautifully. Perfect. Awesome. Now if we go back through here and we look at the values, X, Z accelerometer was 9.52, which is confusing because obviously it should be 9.81. Z is out obviously down. Yep. The gyro measurements were all very tiny, so that's good. The LEDs did flash. They were not RGB in order, so all I have to do there is change some pins around. BMP 280, 13 meters approximate altitude, which obviously that's not my altitude, but it tells you it is getting a measurement from that. It just probably needs some sort of tuning or something. So the BMP 280 is working fine. Micro SD is not working fine. Here, I'll pull this screen bigger for you. Sorry guys. There we go. Now you can see this. Pull this bigger for you. Buzzer did not work, and the micro SD did not work. All right, but the pyro channel is all working beautifully. It found the IMU. I think that we're good. So I'll play with the buzzer and try to get the buzzer to work. If the SD card doesn't work, as I said, that's not a priority right now. That's not a big priority of mine. So I can live with that. But this is a big success. I'm surprised. Most of the time when I make a flight computer, it takes hours and hours and hours of troubleshooting just to get something to work, because obviously I'm no expert with anything I'm doing. So I'm very happy that that worked, and I kind of want to watch that again. Wait for this to load. Serial monitor, back to this screen. Alrighty, there we go. No buzzer. And you can see those LEDs faintly light up. The reason why they're so faint, of course, is because I'm putting so much current through them that I'm actually destroying the LEDs in the process. Now if I try it this way, they're green, blue, red, beautiful. Wait a while and we'll see if these LEDs go. Yes, yes. So I think the first one's blown already actually. But that works. Teensy is getting a bit warm. I'm very happy with that. I am very happy with that. What I'm actually going to do on this string, I'm going to very quickly scrap together some code. Once again, you guys can see this code, that's fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scrap together some code that just flashes the LED. Just flashes the LED, just like a display sort of code, I guess you could call it. So we're going to call this REVD, LED, flash, RGB. That works. Go down here. Put the buzzer in there as well. The buzzer's not working, but you know, we'll get it to work eventually. There we go. Should get started, set up. There. And if we go down here, servo. So all we're going to do, we're going to put these LEDs flashing in a loop. See how that goes, eh? See how that goes. Don't want me to save this. Save it right there. Ooh, actually, what would you go? Flash would be normal. Save it. It's gonna want to put. It's gonna bring up this error message. It's gonna want it in a folder. No, it's not gonna want it in a folder. Okay, cool. Oh, cool. So we'll go back here. So it looks like the pyro channel LEDs are lighting up, but they're not. That's just the red. Gonna actually getting blurry vision here looking at those LEDs. They're quite bright LEDs. Gonna quickly change these to a longer delay so I don't end up having a seizure from it. And then if I take that out, green, blue, red, green, blue, red. So it's currently flashing in the wrong direction. So LED R is actually LED green. G. Okay, try that. I'm going to put some sunglasses on. Getting really blurry eyes from looking at those LEDs flashing. So now, red, green, blue. Cool. Awesome. That is very big success. I'm going to unplug that from the computer and go to battery power. Just like that. There you go. So I am probably going to bring this stream to an end soon, now that we've tested all that, and most of it seems to be successful. So if anyone has any questions, anything to say, now is the time to ask it before I finish the stream, have lunch, and then continue working for the day. So I'm just going to start packing up. Anyone who wants to put anything in the chat to ask me before I go, then now is the time to do that. Nothing. Alright. You're a quiet bunch today. On that note, just want to thank everyone for watching today. It looks like we've had 117 people total watch this live at some point, which is much better than last time, I think. REVD computer was a success. Hopefully this will fly with the much faster Teensy and the very much more accurate LSM9DS1. Should be much better. The pyro channels work, the LED works, the BMP280 works. The servos moved, I don't know if they moved correctly, but that did work. We need to try to sort out the buzzer. SD doesn't work, and I don't think we're going to be able to sort that out. And on the back, this is what we finished up with on the back. That's all pretty rough soldering job, but it works. What have we got? Alpha Omega Rocketry. How close are to you with this flight computer? This flight computer will be used on my first flight. Hopefully, I'm really hoping this will be the one. I haven't finished testing it, of course, but it's looking pretty promising. This will be used on the first flight, which I'm targeting for the 4th of October. 4th of October is the current target for the first full flight. I have a lot of testing, a lot of software, and some smaller hardware stuff to do between now and then, but I'll get there eventually. But anyway, I think this is going to conclude the stream here. Thanks heaps to everyone who came out today to watch. That's really awesome to have all you guys watching my stream. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If there's any feedback, let me know on here or on Twitter. But for now, I don't really have a sign-off thing I say like Cho does. But yeah. Thanks heaps for coming out. I'll see you next time in the next video. Hopefully the pad video. See you then.